Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to begin the funeral service of Dr. Eliezer Elie Geisler. We welcome those of you who are joining us via live stream, and Rabbi Jeffrey Weil will be officiating. And at this time he's going to perform the ancient ceremony of Kriya, of tearing of the ribbon. And also please take a moment to be sure that your cell phones have been silenced.
Thank you, David. The ritual of Kriya means tearing, and it's a Hebrew word, means tearing. And in the Bible, when something sad would happen or shocking or calamitous, our biblical forebears would tear. They would do an act of Kriya, tearing their garments, in a sense exposing their wounded and vulnerable hearts at that time. And when we do the Kriya, which Limor will do the act of Kriya in just a moment, we'll do the tearing. There's a blessing first, and the blessing acknowledges God as the true judge, as the Dayan HaEmet, which quite frankly is sometimes hard to accept in this world of ours, because sometimes things happen in our lives that would just challenge that idea of a judge of truth, but the Jewish tradition nudges us, or guides us, I should say, in that direction. So, Limor, if you'll rise, please. Just Limor, yeah. And the blessing is begin with words from the psalmist. Adonai ma adam v'teda'ehu ben enosh v'techashvehu. Adam lehevel dama. Yamav ketzel over b'boker tzitz v'chalaf la'erev yimolel v'yavesh. Adonai, eternal God, what are we that you have regard for us, and what are we that you would even be mindful of us? All of us, we are just a breath. Our days are a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning it shoots up and is renewed, and in the evening of all of our lives it fades and withers. Such is life. But God, you cause all of us to return unto dust, saying, Shuvu b'nei Adam, return, O mortal ones. Would that we were wise, would that we understood whither we go from here, for when we die we carry nothing with us, not our riches, not our glory. But God, you say, Shmor tam urei yashar, mark the wholehearted, behold the upright. Those are the ones who shall find shalom, who shall find peace in the end. Today we gather to remember one who was tam v'yashar, Dr. Eliezer Elie Geisler. He was brilliant and had such great regard and love for his dear ones, and he contributed much to his field and to society. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach be'atzat risha'im, u'v'derech hata'im lo amad, u'v'moshav leitzim lo yishav, kim b'torat Adonai chefetzo, u'v'torato yeheyeh yomam v'layla. I thought this is appropriate for Elie, this psalm, Psalm 1. It says, happy are those who have not followed the counsel of wickedness, but rather the teaching. It says Torat Adonai, which is the teaching of the Lord. But Torah is teaching, it is guide, it is a morah, which is a related word, is teacher, related to the word Torah. The teaching of the Lord, or of truth, or of wisdom, is a delight to these people. And they study that teaching and teach that teaching day and night. Such people are like a tree planted by streams of water. It yields its fruit in season. Its foliage never fades. Its fruit always flourishes. And when we think of Elie Geisler, we could think of the fruit of his learning, of his scholarship, that always flourishes, that never fades, and that has really enlightened and guided so many. You'll find the 23rd Psalm in our handouts, which you have. I'll read the 23rd Psalm first in Hebrew, and then we'll read it together in English. It's on the inside panel. Adonai ro'i lo exar. Ino desha yarbitzeni. Al meit menuchot yinahleni nafshi yeshovev. Yancheni b'maglei tzedek l'ma'an shemo. Gam ki elech b'geit salmavet lo irara ki yata imadi. Shivtecha mishatecha hema inachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged zorai. Dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi ravaya. Ach tov v'chesed yurdafuni kol yemei chaya. V'shafti b'veit Adonai lo orach yamim. We read together 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The third chapter of the book of Kohelet, or in English we call it Ecclesiastes, is familiar, and it presents this idea that everything happens at an appropriate time in life. This too I find to be sometimes a difficult theology, biblical theology to accept, and yet there it is, this according to tradition, written by King Solomon, the great King Solomon. For everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot that which is planted, a time to tear down, a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time when we must refrain from our embraces, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear, a time to sow, and a time for silence, and a time to speak. So I had the honor of speaking to Betsy a couple days ago about Elie, and it's an honor now to share some thoughts about the man. We soon, in the Jewish calendar, we're about to begin a new year, 5784, finishing 5783. It's Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah celebrates the beginning of everything, completely everything. We say in the Rosh Hashanah liturgy, Hayom Harat Olam. This is the birthday of the world. Today, the universe is born. And according to, I think, nearly every tradition, when we talk about God creating the universe, we talk about God also creating the crown of creation, which is human beings. And primarily the fact that human beings are created, according to the Torah, B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image. But what does it mean to be created in B'Tselem Elohim? What does it mean to be created in God's image? And one obvious answer to that, according to every religious tradition, is that we are created with the capacity for intelligence, for high intelligence. Chochmah, Bina, Da'at. Wisdom, discernment or understanding, and knowledge. Elie Geisler must have received from God a double portion of that high intelligence, of the wisdom, of the discernment and understanding and knowledge. That is for sure. For he possessed a truly brilliant mind. He was a truly brilliant person. But what impressed me when Betsy and I were talking this couple days ago is not merely, I put merely in quotes, that he was brilliant, although of course he was brilliant. Also, it was not merely, that he spoke 8 languages, although that's impressive. or that he received a full scholarship or full scholarships and received awards and was the pillar of an academic community, and more. The voluminous writings, publishing that he had done. What was most impressive about Elie Geisler is that he used his brilliance for really important and good purposes, for advancement, really human advancement, to support as well, to support and promote important causes. From the field of, and I heard what you said a moment ago, and I read the obit and so forth, but it seems like it was a very broad array of areas of expertise, field of medical technology management, healthcare, broadly speaking, I guess, as well as the security and upbuilding of the state, of the Jewish state, of Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel. And when you think about that, what he used his intelligence for is sort of move from the realm of, wow, impressive, to the realm of, wow, admirable, or wow, noble. And that is what's most impressive. God also did not only create this world and human beings for intelligence, but for love as well. Chesed, loving kindness. Ahava, love. And Elie did benefit from and created and nurtured loving relationships. And when you think about it, brilliance and love, that is a winning combination for one's life. He was born the son of Mordechai and Chaya, an older brother of his beloved sister, younger sister, Hannah. Born in Jerusalem, a sixth-generation Sabra. When he was just 10 years old, the family of four moved to Rio de Janeiro. Wow, that must have been quite a challenging move for a 10-year-old, needing at that age to adapt to pretty much a new everything, a new continent, culture, language, and so forth. But he acculturated and learned. In his late teens, Elie was pursuing medicine. He went to medical school, and I assume that his future looked promising and perhaps predictable, good future. But you know what they say about the best made plans. His educational and professional plans were derailed, might be the wrong word, but it took a detour because of a sadness as his father Mordechai passed away. And Elie, now in Israel, needed to assume significant responsibilities, additional responsibilities, to help support his mother and his sister. He would soon become involved in clandestine intelligence activities for Israel, particularly involving atomic energy projects. He was deeply involved in the Six-Day War, which was in 1967, in the Yom Kippur War in 1973. And the high level of his work, although it was undercover, brought him into close contact with the likes of Golda Meir and Yitzhak Rabin. And Betsy had the honor of meeting, I guess, Rabin. Is that right? Yeah, which is amazing. Through Elie, obviously. He had meanwhile resumed his education, completing undergraduate work both at Hebrew University and Tel Aviv University, and then earning an MBA from Tel Aviv University. And then he received a full scholarship to pursue a doctorate, scholarship granted by NASA in organizational behavior at Northwestern here. His career really blossomed, and he became a pillar, as I said before, of the academic community. His many achievements and accolades are clearly set out in the very impressive obituary, and I assume that if I were to read the full CV of Elie Geisler, that would be really, pretty mind-boggling. And as all that was occurring, as he was gaining that momentum and having those achievements in his academic fields, he was also helping to create and build a family. At one time, I'm guessing this is about 45 years ago, he was involved in a project at Kellogg studying the effects of strip mining in Appalachia. And one of his colleagues on the project was a young woman named Betsy. It was professional, yes, but there was something else and they began dating. And nearly 5 years later, about 4.5 years later, they married in Jamaica with children in attendance. It was a 39-year marriage, and it brought them to many places, and really it brought them into many homes. They lived in a succession of them, and Betsy, I hope I got it all, but maybe I didn't. Wilmette, Evanston, for a short time, Skokie, I think you said, downtown Winnetka, also a home in Naples until shortly before the pandemic, and in more recent years in Coromandel in Deerfield. Did I get it all? Good. Throughout the years, Betsy often helped with Elie's work, including the Hospital of the Future project. And Betsy, the English major, would read some of his prodigiously produced written material. And yes, he produced a truly voluminous amount of published work. Betsy also assisted in organizing conferences in Chicago and frequently in Europe, and Elie even spent a couple of months living and teaching in Pisa, Italy. But the success of the 39, almost 4-decade marriage was not really or not merely in the work that was accomplished together. It was rather the love that they created together. Elie and Betsy's marriage was a great love affair. He was romantic, and he would express his love in many ways, including just sending her flowers or bringing home flowers for no special reason at all, just because. That is romantic. True relationships, ideal relationships, have a reciprocity to them. They involve a reciprocal growth for each partner, each member of the relationship, whatever the kind of relationship it is. And Elie certainly grew from Betsy's intelligence and her feedback and her supports. And Betsy certainly learned from Elie, gaining so much from his work and from his intelligence. In addition, Elie continued to enjoy other very close relationships, like with all of you who are here, of course. And he was a devoted brother to Hannah, brother-in-law Meir, and the passing of Hannah not too long ago was a very difficult emotional blow for him, as he was struggling also with his own physical ailments. He also had very close relationships with the various generations of the family, and I learned that he especially loved talking to, as Betsy said, his brilliant grandson, Maxwell, who is finishing his high school years and will go on to his own pursuits in higher education. Those relationships with all of you and with the others, those online as well, were so important to him, with family members and friends of every generation. Yes, Elie Geisler's intellect was towering, and his academic achievements and his 20-year career at Illinois Tech's Stewart School of Business, that was and has been still influential and substantial and formidable. His scholarship was helpful to generations of other leaders in the field. His work in the classroom helped generations of students. His accolades and honors are most impressive. His contributions to the Jewish state during perilous times were valuable, impressive in so many ways, in all these ways. May Elie Geisler's example of devotion to the people and to the world, the people that were so important to him, the world that gained from his work, which is so paramount in his life, may all of that continue to inspire, and may the work of his hands and mind long endure. Zichrono livracha, may his memory always be for blessing. Leida hireshit uftira tachlit hachayim kamasahem kahalicha kitzmicha mishalav l'shalav. Birth is a beginning, death is a destination, life is a journey, a going and a growing from stage to stage. Now the life journey of Dr. Eliezer Geisler, Elie, has sadly reached its conclusion. And so, O God, into your care we entrust his spirit. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain all of us, O eternal God, that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead for us, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, will be with us as a loving friend in whom we put our deepest trusts. You are the light of our lives and our hope in eternity. I will now recite the El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. If it's comfortable for you to rise for the memorial prayer, please do so. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamitzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kedoshim U'Toharim, Kezoha HaRakia Masirim, Et Nishmat Eliezer ben Mordechai V'Chaya, Shehalach Le'olamo, Baal HaRachamim Yastirehu B'Seter Kenafav Le'olamim, V'yitzror b'tzror ha'chaim et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom, al mishkavo, b'nomar. Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence with the holy and the pure who shine like the glow of the heavens to Dr. Eliezer Geisler, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence and within the shadow of your wings. Let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and we say, Amen. You may be seated. Kol omer kra v'amar ma'akra, kol habasar chatzir v'kol chasto ketzitz hasadeh. A voice says, cry out, and I say, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass. All its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, when a wind of the eternal blows upon it. Surely the people are grass, and the grass withers, and the flower fades, but the word of our God shall endure forever. Al Mikomo Yavo B'Shalom. May Elie Geisler come to his eternal home in peace. We'll conclude in just a moment with a mourner's prayer, mourner's Kaddish, which is also on your sheets. O God, help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand, which is truly a profound notion, that grief and love accompany one another, and that the pain which any loss inflicts is the measure of a love that is stronger than death. Though we cry in our hearts, though we mourn, may we be like children who know that their parent is near, pardon me, and who cling unafraid to the trusted hand. Thank you. In this spirit, O God, do we and must we commit all that is precious to us into your keeping, as we now once again please rise from Mourner's Kaddish, the words hallowed by generations. Does everyone have the Mourner's Kaddish who needs it? Kaddish Shatom. Yit Gedal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divra Chirutei V'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon Uv'yomechon Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uv'yizman Kariv V'meru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach La'olam Ulamei Amaya. Yitbarach V'yish Tabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Ale V'yit Halal Shmei Dekudasha B'richu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbichata V'nechamata Da'amiran V'ama V'meru Amen. Yehi Shlam Ara B'min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mamav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. I'll conclude with these traditional words of comfort spoken to all of you from our tradition. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. Hamakom Yenechem Etchem B'toch Sha'ar Avlei Tzion V'Yerushalayim. Now go forth in peace unto life. Amen. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the service here. Memorial contributions to the American Cancer Society would be appreciated. That information is on the service folder. And for the people that are joining us online, that information is on the website. This time the services are concluded. You have a restful Shabbat.